live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Time. I know I just got word that our echo's back, so let me see if I think we took care of it there with with the last reboot. So wow, live radio. I need a snurdly. I really do. I say that a lot. And for those that don't listen to Rush, you won't know what I'm talking about. You probably think it's a derogatory statement that I just made. I need a snurdly. I need someone to kind of help me. But, more importantly, I need sleep. We've been running. I just want to tell everybody, thanks to everybody who's helped us get PatriotFB.com off the ground. We have 5 separate servers, so you guys understand the architecture behind that site. Because right now, we were just kind of getting it tuned, and now we're going to go out and do some major advertising. So I recommend that you go out to PatriotFB.com. We passed our site security scans. We're good to go. We're good to go. But we had to run this thing on. We have it running on 5 separate servers and multiple what they call co-locations. And then on top of that, we are running off of what they call CDNs, content delivery networks, all around the world. I think we're up to about 109 in total. When you add up all of the 3 providers that we use, 109 servers. This is being Patriot FB is being sent out to. And then on top of that, we're going to be adding the radio show, the 24/7 news and entertainment show. So that's our next work. So when I get off the air tonight, we're going to start on that, get that fired up. We'll be bringing you shows, documentaries, all sorts of different news and information 24/7. Think about that. 24/7 and nothing but patriotic music, news, information, and shows. This is going to be a one-stop shop for all of us American patriots. For those that love this country and love what it stands for. But as I said earlier, another one of my goal, and I was talking with JJ McCarthy earlier today, McCartney earlier today. We're gonna, JJ is gonna be joining us as a full-time broadcaster, doing his show. We're gonna be having some other ones on. But one of our goals is to bring other broadcasters in, other talent, get you a different voice out there, a different point of view. And one of those that hopefully we won't scare them away anytime soon, but hopefully one of those is going to be Joe. I'll just say Joe. Joe, this is Jeff. Hey, how are you doing, buddy?
Jeff, I'm doing well. A bit nervous, but I'm doing well.
Oh, don't be nervous, my friend. You can't. In the last 2 days, we've had more issues with our audio and stuff, and that just goes to show you can be as polished as you think you are, but the good Lord will always put you in your place. So don't worry about it. Just just be yourself. And it's amazing how the conversation ends up. I'm just going to tell you, before you realize it, we're going to be going off the air for the evening. You'll be like, wow, it flies by quick. So don't fret it, my friend.
All right, I sure will try not to. I just wanted to thank you for having this Midnight Patriot show and the Patriot FB site, where we're free and able to talk without worrying about censorship and what have you. And it's great Americans such as yourself that if we all pull together, we can win this fight for our freedom.
Yeah,
and
no, absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, and I appreciate. Thank you very much. I really do. But to be honest with you, I just want to say it's individuals like yourself and others that that call in and people that I engage with. And I got to give a shout out to my buddy who's not a first time listener. He's been listening to a couple shows. George, I just want to say thanks, thanks, man. It means a lot to know that you're listening to my show. It just lets me know that a little street creds there. And everything, but we've got to do something. And unfortunately, I didn't serve I was not a soldier and or in it, so this is my way of service to our country is using my talents, be it the internet or be it the radio or whatever, to offer my service or part of me to this great nation, this great country, and so.
Right, right.
But thank you, though. I mean, you've been, for those that don't know, haven't gone out yet. We have a new site up and running. It's called patriotfb.com. We have, I think, Joe, I would have to say we probably got one of the most extensive, and with all of your help, we have one of the most extensive Patriot-related video repositories on the internet.
Yes, I agree, and I try to post everything. My idea is I don't want people to believe me. I want them to think, and I try to post everything I can that has to do with this great fight of ours, and try to just get people to think. Hey, well, maybe this guy's onto something. Or, that fits over here in this category. I didn't know how it worked at first, but now after watching that video, I understand how that works. And, if we can get people to think and get people to just say, what's that all about? I think we'll go a long ways into waking people up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% there. And that's, and that's why I think video, not only do we do the radio show and stuff, and this is kind of great. I tell people this is great background noise, or, if you're working late or if you're on the road, over the road, or all those truckers and guys working in the factories and stuff, guys and gals. This is great background noise, but the videos are just incredible. I mean, I was watching the David Ike, I want to call it the Ike-a-thon.
Right,
the
right.
David Ike-a-thon. 7 hours of David Ike.
Yeah, it took me 2 days to watch that thing.
Yeah, I just want to tell you thank you for putting that up, because I'm not getting any sleep. But it's funny because as I'm working on the site, I have I have another computer that's running in the background, because even though we're working, very rarely did our site ever really truly go down. It was just kind of sporadic here and there, but we had it on. And so what I was doing is I was playing David Icke in the background for 3 hours or so, and I've been listening to it, and it's just incredible amount of news. And like I tell everybody is that if you haven't had, for all those listeners out there, if you haven't had a chance, go to patriotfacebook.com or patriotfb.com and sign in. You can use your Facebook credentials. Now, I have to warn everybody. It happened to me today. And I've been telling people this. It's a matter of time before Facebook gets wind of what we're doing. I went in to log in, and it said that my application is when you hook the site up to Facebook, it said that my application has been disabled, and and so I had to recreate it. So I will tell everybody who signs up with Patriot Facebook, fb.com, patriotfb.com, to make sure that you put in your password and use an account outside of Facebook, because if you're using a Facebook account, they can, if they disable that, you won't be able to log in. You'll have to kind of start over, and I don't want that to happen. But I am working. One of the code fixes that we are doing right now is that we are doing what they call a merge, where you can create your own account outside of any social media site, and then what we can do is we can merge the two so you don't lose your position and everything. Because I'll have to tell you, Joe, you're like number 4 or 5, as far as our contributors. So, it's just, so I recommend that everybody go out there and do that. But, this video collection that we're amassing is just, I mean, from a Patriot standpoint, it's incredible. I mean, I mean, and that 24-hour radio show that we're going to be doing, or 24-hour news feed that we're going to be doing, we will be playing a lot of these videos through audio, of course, on the feed. So that's, through our TVs, and we're going to be running simultaneous video feeds as well. So we're super excited about what we're doing, and I, it's Patriots like you that got me off my butt to do this. I had to do something because it was
Yeah, that's the
driving me
way
nuts.
I feel the same way. I had to do something, and
Yeah.
now I have the time to do it. So, there's a bunch of people out there that can't stand up right now,
Yeah.
or that are afraid to stand up, or are just plain asleep.
Yes.
And those are the ones we're fighting for. We're fighting for those people out there that don't agree with us. We're fighting for their freedoms
Yeah.
to have that, to not agree with us, to give them the respect to not agree with us.
Yeah. Exactly. And I've always said that this is our, you know, there's a lot of people out there, that are asleep, and they're the ones that are going to suffer the most. They're the
Right.
ones that are going to be hit the hardest, and they're already being hit the hardest by, and that's why I tell people is that, economic slavery is still slavery. And when
Yeah.
and when you're dependent upon anybody, trust me. I mean, I know even in business, when you're dependent upon, anybody, that's a very helpless feeling. And it just amazes me that people, oh, the government's going to take care of me, this is going to take care of me. And I'm like, the government's going to be those guys that are passing these laws and doing all of this regulations. They're the first ones that are going to be on their islands.
Right, right. Or in their bunkers,
Or in their bunkers,
you know,
exactly.
and this whole thing that's happening to the world today and to the United States and to our currency is that's been planned for years and years
Yep.
and years.
Yep.
And they finally got to the point to where, a lot of people out there say Obama's doing a terrible job. Well, for we the people, he is doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
But from the elite's point of view and the New World Order's point of view, he is doing a fantastic job. He's trying to take our guns. He's trying to put us on government health care. I mean, he's just doing them a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
And go
Well,
ahead.
no, absolutely. I mean, one of the economic indicators that is not discussed or not ever talked about is that the 1%. Remember when he was out there, telling the 99 percenters to go out there and protest and march, and he was like, "Oh yeah, go out there and do that." He's not a friend of the middle class, nor is he a friend of even the lower class in that regard. And
Not at all.
Well, I can tell you because the lower middle class is getting poorer. The middle class is obviously getting poorer. We're getting pinched everywhere we go. The only group within this United States who's actually benefited from Obama being in office is, believe it or not, is the 1%. They are buying up.
Fully agree.
They're buying up property. They're buying up, tangible assets, and they're buying them up cheap. As you and I are losing our homes and we're being foreclosed on, and we're struggling to pay our bills, and we're struggling just to be honest, good working, hard Americans and everything. The uber rich are coming in and buying up those assets. We were looking at some indicators down in Florida when the housing bubble first popped. You couldn't give away a condo. Couldn't give away a condo. Well, now you can't find a condo because they're being absorbed. They're being purchased by the uber wealthy. The people that made all this money, and now what they're doing is it's a transfer of assets. So what they did is they broke us, and then they turn around and sucked it up. And if I used to trade stocks on fun, and they call that whipsawed in the stock market. What they'll do is that they'll literally, and it's a concept that they literally give it a name. It's called whipsaw. And what they do is, like, you remember the old lumberjack saws, how you could, and they would whip. Well, they would intentionally push a stock up or down, and what that would do is it would cause people to get out of the market, and then they would come in and buy it at a cheap. And those were systems that they put in place on the stock market to get out to knock the amateurs out and then bring the professionals in. Well, now they're doing that with our economy on a global scale, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're knocking you and I out of the picture, and then they're buying it up. I mean, it's
Yeah, well, you know, it's like they say, the upper class uses the middle class to control the lower class.
You posted that. I love that. And I don't know who. I actually posted that in my quote section there at Patriot FB. I hope you're not mad at me for doing it.
No, you post whatever I put on there. I mean for everybody to be able to share it, tell all your friends, take credit for it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care. I don't have to have my name involved, just as long as we can get the word out.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what it's all about. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's why it's important. That's why I can't wait, man, until you get your own show on the network here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I've done picked out a name. I'm just going to call it the Average Joe Show because that's all I am.
Yeah.
I'm an average American and led an average life, but I've got fed up with what's going on around me.
There you go. There you
You
go.
know,
I think we're all like that. You know, I've
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to meet some of the major players already in this movement and I've just been blessed to be associated with them. But you know, one of the things I've realized is that, you know, being in Chicago, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet people in the entertainment business, be it sports or whatever, and they have arrogance about themselves, or they have an air about themselves, which spells of arrogance. But you know, when I meet guys like Joe the plumber and you know and
right,
you know,
right.
Rodney and those guys, you know, people that you would think they're just average, good old American people. I mean, with families and everything,
Just
and it's just
yeah, just people trying to make a living and make it by.
Yep.
And you know, if I'm going to have to follow the rules, then so should the people that I put in office.
Well, I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer. I've always said it would be a great government when the politicians follow the same laws and rules that we as the citizens do. So, hey Joe, what we're going to do is we'll take a break. I know you've got a couple topics that you want to cover. So,
Right.
you know, we got to pay some bills here. We got to play a little bit of music from Madison Rising. So we'll take a break, and when we get back, we'll be talking with Joe about some of his topics. You know, but you know, if you want to join in the conversation, though, feel free to give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com, or actually at our new sister site, patriotfb.com. That's patriotfb.com.
We need a hero, someone to save us from ourselves and our own self-destruction. God only knows we need help. Looking for a hero, someone who cares about the future, not about themselves, but about the idea of America. We need a hero, someone who shows the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free, and we need a miracle. You know this freedom is anything but free. What we have here depends on those who will fight for what they believe. When we stand together, there's nothing that we can't achieve. This nation of people stand
out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. I can be reached here every Monday through Friday, live. That's live. Live. All the mistakes and everything. I'm going to need a vacation. I'm going to need a cow guy to take me away a moment. But no, it's been a wonderful week. It's been just an incredible week, and getting a lot of things done, and I'm really happy. But you can join us, like I said, from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, or on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot.com for all the latest show news and information. Now, I will tell you that with Patriot FB, that's Frank. We got to come up with another word for FB, but that's patriotfb.com. We're going to have a 24/7, so you'll actually be able to catch the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast on that, and also many other shows. JJ McCarthy is going to be joining us. We're going to have Prepper Recon. We're going to be redoing his shows. We got some other podcasters, professionally produced podcasts that are going to be joining us, and then of course we'll have other shows, and hopefully we'll get Joe on the air pretty soon, pretty quick, and he'll be doing his show, the Average Guy Show. So hey, Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So so we took a little break, and I just got to tell you, I appreciate you coming on and kind of filling me in here, because this week I really haven't had time. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been doing my homework like I should, because I've been so focused on getting everything up and running here, and
right.
And it's like I said, I was sitting there going, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, and talk about it. It's crazy, because normally I would spend about 6 hours throughout the day just getting ready for a 3-hour show, and then of course you offered to come on and stuff, so I appreciate it. So hey, what do you want to talk about? We've got many things.
I'd like to start out with the story about, you all heard about the kid that got killed for carrying the toy gun. I ran across the story today where they're not doing nothing. The cops don't face no penalty. Okay, the police are getting to where they feel like they're a step above us. Mm-hmm. Instead of serving us, I don't know if they think we're their servants or targets or whatever, and it's getting out of hand.
Well, and for those that give kind of people the backstory, there was a young man, or a child, not a young man, a child, who had a toy gun, and he was shot by a police officer. And it's my understanding that police officer, as of today, actually went back on duty.
Yes.
A week later.
That's what the information here I'm reading. I got it off of, I don't know if I should say the website or not.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to. I got it off of PoliceStateUSA.com, and it says that they're facing no penalties. And then it has a quote from this gentleman underneath of it. It says, "Today is the day." He's a trainer of cops.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Today is the day you may need to kill someone in order to go home."
Yeah.
Andy's killer wrote in a SWAT magazine. Okay, so his right to go home versus our right to go home trumps our right, according to him.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, I you know, as much as it hurts me to say this, I agree with you. These officers, I mean, I know law enforcement. I've got friends who are law enforcement and everything. And, you know, I personally, the fact that this guy, you know, even if, all right, let me kind of back up. And the thing that gets me about this story that I just don't understand. And I wish someone would, you know, maybe psychiatrists or whoever come in here and explain this to me, or just some good old horse sense. Maybe we get George to call us at 1-800-580-4870 and he can explain this to me. He always has a way of, a good friend of mine always has a way of explaining things very, very easily to me. You know, that makes sense. If I shot, even though you know, say the knockout kids, right? The kids that are knocking people out. They come up to me, and I made it perfectly clear. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend my family. And a kid knocks me, or, you know, takes a swing at me, and I have to pull my weapon in self-defense, and I shoot that individual. Even though he was trying to do me harm, and then when I find out it was a kid, I don't, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be functioning as a human being a week later. I'm sorry. No. I just know.
I'm in full agreement. And see, answer your question about that, they now have come up with a psychological test for these police. And these psychological tests weed out everybody that has empathy. Because if you have empathy, then you and I, like you say, you couldn't shoot a 13-year-old kid and go home and go to bed and have a beer and go to bed. Yeah. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they get these members or, you know, people without empathy that can pull these things off. I see 2 or 3 stories a day where cops are shooting people, beating the heck out of women. What's the number one thing your dad taught you? You don't hit a woman.
Yeah.
You know, but I see every cop in the world doing it. They don't mind. Heck, they're dragging them into jail cell and kicking the tar out of them.
Yep. That actually happened not too far from here, Skokie, Illinois. There was a lady that was arrested for DUI.
Yeah.
And she was there, and the officer, you know, this guy's 300 pounds or whatever, throws her into a concrete barricade inside the jail cell, or I guess it was like a bed or whatever made out of concrete, and smashes her face. And then what got me is that he proceeded to leave. He didn't help her. He didn't offer assistance. I got it on video. You know, I was part of what I was doing last night. I was watching videos. These officers at checkpoints. I mean, it's just unbelievable that their whole. And then it's funny when you get real patriots who are like, am I detained? Are you arrested? You know, am I detained? No, I'm not going to give you that. No, I'm not going to give you that. What are you pulling me over? And these officers, they just freeze up. They don't know what it's like. How dare you? How dare you question me? You know, and but they know that, you know, and then of course they got the camera shoved in their face, and there's nothing, you know, they know they're going to be on YouTube. And so
anytime a citizen exercises his right to a law enforcement officer, then you're going to have issues because they get mad because they know you're right.
Yeah.
And they know that you've got them on camera. You know, there's an application out there now for the smartphones. I forget what it's called. But as soon as the lights come on behind your car, you take and you dial this application up on your smartphone and pitch the camera on the dash of your car, and it records everything live to the internet.
Yep. I actually have one that's called Cop Watch.
Yeah.
and what it does, and what's crazy, you know, what it will do is it will run, and it will run in the background, and you got to do a certain, on my phone, you have to do a certain thing to turn it off. You can't, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because
right. You don't want everybody to know.
Exactly.
There's
so you got, and so it's running. But see, when the police officers, because that's the other thing, in some of the cities, they're actually taking your phone and they're plugging it into a device that then sucks all the memory down or sucks everything down.
Right.
And so I tell people, you're crazy if you walk around with a cell phone that's not encrypted. Yeah, I mean, you can get, more importantly, not only the recording devices, but you can get a cell phone that's encrypted. And that way, when they suck it down, they got nothing but numbers. They have nothing tangible. And that's, I tell people that they, that they need to get that. And you go out to the web, you can Google it for Android. And the problem with iPhone is that those applications, there's not a whole lot out there because Apple kind of controls that industry. If they find, if law enforcement calls Apple and says, we don't want that application to be sold, then Apple won't sell it or won't allow it to be sold on their network. Where an Android phone is an open source phone, and anybody that knows computers can put that on there and can do that for you. So I highly recommend an Android phone as a personal phone. Now, I highly recommend a burner phone, to be honest with you. We talk about that on the show quite a bit, how to get a burner phone and stuff. So, but going back to this officer, so he shot this young man, this 13-year-old kid. A week later, he's back back at work. Nothing happened.
Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing they done to Kelly Thompson.
Yeah.
The homeless gentleman.
Yep.
Well, they are convicting 2 cops in that beating. They beat that poor homeless guy to death.
Yeah.
And I made myself sit through the 12-minute video and cried like a little baby.
Yeah.
Because it was all caught on tape.
Yep.
And you could hear the guy just screaming for his dad. Dad, help me. Dad, help me. Well, all these cops were beating on us.
Yeah.
Or beating on him. Well, and I know now, if you and I get in a fight with some guy and 10 of our friends join the party and beating that guy to death, we're all going to be charged. We're all going to be charged with accessory.
Yep.
Well, they threw these 2 cops up. They're going to be charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
But that was just like a token. Well, here you go. Take these 2. Leave all the rest of them alone.
Yeah.
And we cannot allow this as a society. Every time these cops get out of line, we have to be there. I know it costs money to take time off from your job and go down and stand in front of the courthouse with the sign, but sometimes money is not the most important thing here, because in a few years, American dollar is going to go broke anyway.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Right now we're fighting for our freedom.
Yep.
And if we don't fight for our freedom and we don't fight for the people that don't believe in the way we do, then when they come to us, we have no help to be inspected.
Well, and that's the thing, is a lot of people, we have this insulated mentality here in the United States, and the sense of community has gone away, and our government's been very effective at erasing that. And everything. So we kind of live, in the United States, they say the more Americans fear each other than anything else. And that's by design, going back to the whole design aspect. And the reality of it is that, I've always said this, is that, today it might be that person, that you're watching, you pull your YouTube camera out and you're videotaping a police officer beating him up. Tomorrow it might be you. And so, we've got to become better keepers of our brothers. In other words, when we see travesty, when we see that, we've got to get involved. Now, a lot of law enforcement, they don't want to hear me, and I'm going to get criticized. I tell you this, but I can tell you this: if I see a police officer beating a person, there's one thing to arrest a person that's a criminal. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. Period. Right. But it's another thing is when they're beating people, and the thing is too, if it wasn't those two officers that are being prosecuted, I can guarantee you, if there wasn't a camera witnessing the crime, they wouldn't have never been prosecuted. They would have said, they would have lied. I mean, we've got audio tape, and that's one of the things we're putting up on the video section. I've been working on getting up and running is a section called Police State. And one of the things that we're going to do is that we're going to start putting these up there. But we've got police officers on their own dash cams, on their own audio, where they're conspiring with each other to cover it up. I got one where a police officer ran into the back of another car. Clearly ran in the back of another car. And then he charged the woman. He set her up for a DUI test. and made her, basically said that she failed where she actually passed.
Wow.
And then he's talking to his buddy and he's like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble because I ran into the back. I rear-ended her. So I'm going to tell him that she was in the left lane. She came across the right lane. She pulled out in front of me and slammed on her brakes, and then I hit her. And he didn't know that he was being recorded because he thought his recorder was turned off. And, it's just, we have stuff like that. We have, things where officers are on their dash cam and they're, talking about how they pulled so-and-so over and that they harassed them. And, just start exposing that. And like I said, unfortunately, I do have friends that are law enforcement, and I hope to God that they wouldn't do this at this level. But it's just, it's time when we put a stop, because it's going to be you tomorrow. It's going to be you, or it's going to be me. It's going to be, Sandy. It's going to be one of my daughters. It's going to be, we have a police officer just arrested because he was pimping out girls.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, he was, teenage girls. He was, wrapping them up in a crime. And then he was basically, this is movie Hollywood stuff, but it's coming to the streets near you.
I think it's they've been watching too much TV.
Yeah.
And they learn these things, and all this stuff. It reminds me of a few years back in the 90s, the Iowa governor, his son was drunk one night and ran into a car and killed 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, the son of those 2 people were sitting outside after they found the kid not guilty of anything, of course. Found the kid of the killed people sitting outside the governor's mansion. The Secret Service went out there and searched his car and found 2 kilos of cocaine, and off to prison he went. Now, I know for a fact, because I know that kid never done any drugs.
Yeah.
He was not a partier. He came from a good Christian background. And they set him up and shipped him off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it is. And like I said, they'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal, it's just
Yeah.
And God forbid. And that's why, I tell those that are, and I, make no bones about it. Like I said, I know some law enforcement and stuff, and I hear the stories that they tell and how what they think about certain individuals and stuff like that. And I think part of it's just by the design of what they have to do from day to day. But the other part of it too is, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a mentality that's prevalent all the way across the board. And, and they need to weed those guys out. It's like any workplace. I mean, you go into work, you can always point out 1 or 2, a-holes. And unfortunately with police officers, it's harder to get rid of them. And then there's that, that whole mentality of cover up and protect and stuff. You're right. We need to stand out as citizens and hold these law enforcement. I think there ought to be, if you're a law enforcement officer and you're arrested for committing a crime, not only do you get for the crime that you did, but I think they ought to, because you violated the people's trust. I think they ought to tack some more on for you.
Yeah, exactly. And people should not be held like sheep, like they're doing to us. I'm not a walking target. I can remember being back in the 70s, walking down the street without an ID, and a cop could pull up and go, well, what are you doing? Well, it's none of your business. Well, where are you coming from? Well, that's none of your business.
Yeah.
Well, I need to see your ID. No, you don't. Yeah. I'm a free citizen. I can walk down this street without you. And back then, they had to get in their car and leave. Yeah. Nowadays, if you don't have your ID, your butt's going to jail.
Oh, I know. And they think because, the Patriot Act. And, it was so funny when they talked, well, not funny, it's actually sad, but when they were like, the Patriot Act, unless you're a terrorist, it ain't going to apply to you. There are more citizens being charged under the stuff like, for like taxes and things of that nature, non-violent related, non-terrorism related crimes than has ever been any terrorist ever arrested for the Patriot Act. They're doing these wiretaps, and most of the wiretaps that they're doing have nothing to do with terrorism. They have everything to do with other types of crimes. And, of course they justify that by saying, well, we caught this XYZ criminal. But the problem is when you cast a large net, I don't know, are you a fisherman? Have you ever been fishing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been like deep sea fishing, but I love fishing normally. But I watch those guys. One of my favorite shows is watching like the crab guys and the deep sea fishermen.
Yeah.
And they cast these huge nets out there, and they capture everything. They capture dolphins, they capture sharks, they capture everything. And that's the problem with our surveillance system, is that you and I are getting sucked up in our conversations are being sucked up into that. And I'll tell you, a lot of people say, well, what do you have to worry? Well, I worry because I think of what I do now. And,
Jeff,
and the radio.
let me ask you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you more afraid of being killed by an Iranian or an Afghanistan terrorist, or are you more afraid of being killed by your local cop?
I am scared to death of my government.
Okay, that's tyranny.
I am scared to death. When I can tell you now, I am a big boy. I am a big man, and I am scared to death of my government. When a police officer gets behind me, I don't violate the law. I'm not a criminal. That's not who I am. I've always said that if I break the law, call me and I'll show up and I'll present myself to court and I'll take my, the consequences for my
actions. Most people are like that.
Yeah, I would. But my thing is I get nervous when I'm around police officers, because you never know. You
don't.
never know.
I mean, and especially with New Mexico, this one officer of the law got for no lack of any other words, got a hard on for one of my sons. And I mean, constantly pulling him over. Pulled him over in one of my customers' cars one day, a block down from my shop, and I had to run up there, and they were searching one of my customers' cars because my son had taken it out for a test drive. And I'm like, wait, you can't do this. Next thing I know, I find myself face up against a post with my hands handcuffed behind me, and they told my son if he did not sign the consent in order to to search that car, that they would take him to jail.
Yep.
Well, my son's just a little bitty guy.
Yeah.
He's not very big, scared to death of jail.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? Yeah, when they tell you you're going to go, because you hear all the horror stories and stuff, they tell you, oh, you're going to go to jail. And most Americans would cave.
Right.
It's funny because even when I'm watching these constitutional refusals, as I like to call them, they threaten, and then the person, hats off to them. Hats off to these people that, that stand up to these, tyrants and stuff. But you're absolutely right. I am more concerned about my government than I am about some terrorist killing me and stuff. So what we'll do is we're going to take a little break here. We get back, Joe, we'll key up the next topic for you. And but you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. If you'd like to join in the conversation, give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's your future to take. Stand of the brave, the U.S. of A. Old traitors and stars, spangled banner, yet wave for the land of the brave. In the
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time and on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Also, if you'd like to join in the chat, I understand people don't want to give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870 if they want to join in the conversation. But you can also join us at patriotfb.com. And you can join in the chat. We actually, for each show, we have our own chat rooms running. We have a community chat room. You're more than welcome to sign up there. You can use your Facebook account. We're going to be adding LinkedIn and all the other accounts so you can log in with Twitter and that as well here in the next couple of days, not only just Facebook. And that will allow you to join the conversation to be part of this movement. You know, I've always said, when I started the show a long time ago, not a long time, God, it feels like a long time, but when we started it back in October, I've always said that this show is nothing but the tracks. Your message and the movement of the Patriot movement is the train. And you know, that's what it's all about. And we want to give you voice and you know, let you have a voice in this fight and stuff. And tonight, you know, we have Joe joining us. And so Joe, you know,
Yes, sir.
No, don't call me sir. I get nervous when that's my dad's name.
Oh, right, right.
I know
the first time I was called that, it's like, man, do I look that old?
That's right. So, you know, I've always said I got a face for radio, so and a body for radio. I look perfect for radio, but no, you know, we were talking about the police brutality and stuff, but you know, that's the thing. I know you've been doing a lot of the New World Order stuff, the videos. I'm going to be posting up tonight now that we have that in sync with our CDNs and our content delivery networks and stuff. I'm going to be posting up the police state videos and the craziness and stuff.
Yeah, because it does get crazy when you start reaching the top of the pyramid.
Oh, I was watching a video last night where they were actually the Washington D.C. were actually going to arrest a guy because he had a camera and he was videotaping out in front of the White House. And they're saying, well, you're doing it for commercial purposes, but yet why he's videotaping, everybody else is videotaping him. And,
yeah.
and they were like, all you have to do is stand in the street in front, you know, all you have to do is stand. You can't be on the sidewalk. And he's like, well, wait, I'm going to put it up there in the police station. And that's just crazy. But, you know, we got a lot of topics to cover tonight. So, you know, let's kind of move on.
All right. You know, I'd like to talk about this Obamacare thing. I ran across an ad or a link today at examiner.com,
Yep.
and it says, Congressman warns Obamacare has provisions to create secret security force.
Oh, yep.
And, you know, it goes on to say, in March, the policy and issues Examiner reported, Terry M. Henslow, a retired United States captain from Fort Worth, Texas, warned that DHS is preparing to go to war with the citizens of the United States.
Yep.
You know, and you think about all the bullets they're buying and all the ammo they're doing and all the armored cars they're buying and everything. There is no possible way we can win a fighting war if it starts to shooting. My belief is, and I'll believe this to the day I drop dead, that I'm a full believer in the Second Amendment. But we're going to have to lay our guns down. We're going to have to leave the bullets out of this, and we're going to have to use words as our sword, because that's what's going to win this peace. Sort of like Gandhi did with India when they broke away from Great Britain.
Yeah.
He just, by stop doing everything. I try to get people to take their money out of the banks, start homeschooling their kids,
Yep.
do whatever they can for domestic resistance to stop going with the order of things.
Yeah, I mean, no, the thing is, we need to start boycotting. Now, I know we had Stone Anthony is on last night, and Stone and I, where we sometimes butt heads and where we don't, is that, I'm a member of the 3%ers. And for those that don't know what that is, you need to look it up and stuff. I'm a firm believer that, we need to affect change at the ballot box. We need to, disrupt their plans, and we need to, be smarter than them. They want us. Part of the thing is they want an armed rebellion, because that way they can escalate and they can move their forces in quicker. So we need to be a little bit smarter, but don't kid yourself. When you turn your guns on me, or you turn your guns on my family, I'm gonna fight, and I'm sorry, and
I'm in full agreement with you.
And because at that point, and even George Washington had, in the American Revolution, had a huge disadvantage. Think about it. We had farmers and peasants and people that weren't part of a militia or anything like that. We defeated the most powerful, at the time, the most powerful army. And I'm a firm believer they did that on God. There's the old story where, I know that Glenn Beck has one of the pictures of George Washington, not the original, but one of the color studies, where George Washington is in the forest and he's praying to God. And one thing that George Washington did, that he, in all of his pictures, if you ever look at a picture of George Washington, especially when he was praying, he was always looking up. Well, in this one picture, he was looking down, and that's what makes it so rare or unusual.
Right.
But the thing is that the story basically goes that, there was a British spy who was spying on George Washington. This is documented, where he was spying on him when he actually was in this forest and he was praying to God. And the British, and of course he had to report back to his masters, said, what did he say? And they said, well, General George Washington was praying to God. And they said, well, what did he do? And the guy goes, I don't know what he did, but whatever it was, it made me realize that I'm on the wrong side.
Right.
And that's, I'm a firm believer that when you are a man of conscience and a mad, and you do everything that you're supposed to do to be a good person, I think there's a point in which it goes to the next level, and you got God on your side. And a lot of people are afraid of our military and stuff. I'm not, because I actually feel that God will he moves in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that we don't need to take up arms just yet. But we need to be ready. I mean, we need, like any good soldier, what does it do? The creed of a soldier is that you
hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Exactly. And that's, that's the thing. But if it's a war they want, we'll give it to them. But let's go back to this whole thing. I actually read, a lot of the Obamacare law. I mean, what I could, most of it was, but there are, and we've reported on that in the show early when we first started the show. A lot of people don't know this. Inside the Obamacare package or law, or whatever you want to call it, anti-freedom bill, they have a specific section that clearly says that DHS or an agency of can come to your home if you sign up for Obamacare and do an inspection, a home, a physical, a physical home inspection. And now the criteria of that is, right now in the Obamacare law, is if you smoke, if you have a child who has been deemed deficient by a school, which
Right,
basically
right.
anybody in public school system, can get that slapped on them in a heartbeat. If you are a soldier who has been diagnosed, or they feel you are suffering from PTSD, or if you are an unwed mother or a mother under the age of 21, those are written in the Obamacare
Yeah.
law. They can come in. Now, it's only a matter of time. We know this president's a gun grabber.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time where they say, well, if
Look
you
what they're
got
doing in
guns,
New York and California.
yeah, if you have guns in your home, we have to come in and make sure they're safe. Well, my guns are safe. How do I tell people? It's like that old grandmother, gets pulled over as she's driving, and the police officer says, is there? And she's like, oh, officer, I got a 357 in my purse. He's like, oh, okay, ma'am. I got a 45 mag in my glove box. Okay. And she goes like, I got a shotgun in the back seat. And he goes, ma'am, what are you afraid of? And she goes, absolutely nothing. And that's,
Right.
that's how it is here at my house. But I don't know. I had a medical procedure not too long ago, and they asked me flat out. They said, do you have any firearms in your home? And I'm like, what does that have to do with why I'm here? And they're like, oh, we have to ask it. Do you have any firearms? I said, well, I don't have to
They
answer
get
it.
paid for that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have to answer, do you? And she goes, no. And then it's funny though, because I'm wearing a gun shirt. I have a shirt on that of a logo of a gun company, and I'm looking right at her. And it's funny because some of the people recognize me in the ER. And then the thing is then she goes, I got to ask this question. She goes, and I'm 6'6", and I'm pushing the high 300. I'm a big man. I'm Shrek. I'm a big guy. And it's funny. She's a little bitty thing, and she's looking at me, and she's got her little clipboard, and she's sitting there, and she's like, are you afraid of your home? And if those that know Sandy, I mean, Sandy's a deer. I mean, she's just, she is, besides our daughters, she is just the shining light of my life. And it's funny, she and she goes, is there anything that you're afraid of in your home? And I start laughing at her, and I'm in pain though when I'm doing it. I said, really, you're gonna ask me that question? And she goes, well, I gotta ask it. And I'm like, okay, what do you. And then I, of course, in my delusional, comedy that I have, I'm like, yeah, Sandy beats me. And she started to like kind of write it down. And I'm like, I was joking. Don't write that down. And, and Sandy's rolling her eyes because I'm always joking like that. And, but I cannot believe, do you have any firearms in your home? And is there anything you're afraid of? It's like, no, I should have said, yeah, I'm afraid of my government.
Yeah, exactly.
But
how much drugs have our government brought in?
Yeah.
How many guns have they given to the cartels? It's just, if we don't stay on this, we're not going to win.
Well, yeah.
But remember this, that in the Revolutionary War, there was only 2% of the population that won that war.
Yes, that's a lot. That's why the 3%ers are important. We talk about that, and the reality of it is that there were more. A lot of people don't know this. When you study history, and I didn't know it until I actually started to study history and educate myself on how this country became what it is. And there were a lot more sympathizers for the crown than there were actual militia, patriots.
Right.
At the end of the Revolutionary War.
But it just goes to show you that the people back then were the same as they were today. Well, we're going to let those guys go do their thing, and we're just going to sit home and do our thing, and however it turns out, we're going to go either way.
Oh yeah. And that's their plan.
Yeah.
That's their plan. They're gonna pop the cork, and then everybody's gonna be starving, or people can't, everybody's gonna be, and the government's gonna come in, and they're gonna say, well, if you agree to these, we're going to have to change some of the law. I mean, look what they did with the Patriot Act. You give up your freedom so we can catch terrorists. They haven't caught one terrorist. Name one terrorist they have caught or they have captured under the Patriot Act. Not one. They haven't caught one.
And the ones they have, like the shoe bombing bomber and the underwear bomber, those are all false flags.
Well, but they were captured. They weren't and they were captured by citizens. You and I. They weren't captured. There wasn't an air marshal that, they detonated the underwear bomb on the plane. But you're absolutely right. They were put on the plane by members of the embassy, of the United States Embassy. That's, oh, by the way, a lot of people, that's considered. No, that's documented fact. Yep. That, there were attorneys, there were people sworn under oath that, have written testimony that have said, but of course you don't hear about that, and of course.
No, you don't. You don't hear about the lawyer that's taking that to court.
Yep.
And it's just like you don't hear about the kid that went over to Kenya back in 2009, got a copy of the birth certificate, filed it in the court in 2009, and the whole thing has just vanished.
Yep.
And it proves that Obama was not born in this country.
I was, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, he did the whole cold case posse group, and I was watching that the other day, and being a computer guy and stuff, there are certain things that you cannot forge on a computer, and these guys ripped it apart. And it's funny because I had a guest on, a very good guest, and I know he's a prosecuting attorney, and he's anti-birther, not a big birther guy, and and the thing is the whole time that I'm listening, and he has a right to his opinion, though it's wrong. And the reason why I'm saying it's wrong is because they have proven, and actually that's one of the videos I do want to get up as well. I've got a whole list of them. We couldn't load anything up for the last 2 days, but we're going to get caught up tonight. But Joseph Arpaio, his investigators, literally, they take the birth certificate that was put out there on the, and of course now you can't get it at whitehouse.gov. They take the birth certificate and they take it apart and they show you how they do it using,
it was all layered,
using software that you can get right now. And they take it apart and they say, here, you can get rid of this. If it's a scanned, that's the thing. If it's a scanned document, you can't take it apart because everything is one image, where these are separate images. And they even shown where they said, well, this is how they did the stamp. And they show you exactly, and they were like, in the court of law, if you went in front of a judge and you presented a document such as this as in a prosecution of a case, you would be held in contempt immediately.
Right.
If they found out that granted, or the judge wouldn't allow it. It would be disallowed as evidence because there's enough in there. And it's, you can't make this stuff up. And,
well, here's something for you to remember. 44 presidents we've had, right?
Yep.
And 43 of them have direct blood relationships to the crown.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the 43rd one, but it was 100 years or so ago. But every election has been won by the one with the most blood ties to the crown of England over there. You think that the average Joe like me can go out and run for elections? We can't.
Well, look,
because the Republicans and the Democrats, they own the voting machines.
Yep.
50% of both. And when you have that, you're not going to have a fair election.
Well,
and I don't want to drop dead because I don't want to vote Democrat when I die.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're being from Chicago. Not only will you vote Democrat when you die, you'd vote like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But no, look, I mean, that's the thing. We have Stone Anthony. That's why I give him a voice. That's why I have him on the show, because he's fun to talk to. But on Tuesday nights, we bring Stone in because he is actually, he is trying to get on the ballot, and he's serious. I know Stone well enough to know he's not out there, trying to, it's not like one day he was sitting around and said, you know what, I have nothing out, I've been successful in business, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people don't know this about Stoner. He comes across as a biker, and kind of a ruffian, kind of like me. But the thing is that, I've seen, he does wear a suit, he doesn't wear his colors all the time. But the other thing too is that he was a successful business person, and he has successful businesses on top of being a vet and everything else. And then the problem is with our system, he's got to get 1 million signatures in order to even be considered to be put on the ballot.
Constitution?
Yeah,
where are these campaign laws
that
they come up with?
Well, it's in the same place where they take a 7,200 page law or bill or whatever to turn it into 11 million. You know, the IRS, the code that set the IRS up is only, you know, it's a few pages in length, but the regulations would fill most people's libraries at their home or, you know, their collection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's law libraries and law. Yeah. And that's the problem, is we're not being ruled by law. We're being ruled by regulations and, you know, czars and all this stuff. And and no one knows the tax
code. You take a government that pushes this stuff on us like the Obamacare.
Yeah.
For those that don't know and want to look up what Obamacare, it's HR 4872.
Yep.
Okay.
But look at all the regulations. That's the Obamacare.
Look at all the regulations.
Look at the 11 million words. 11 million.
How do you read something like that? I mean, how long would it take one person to read something like that to know what's in it? Oh, we got to pass it so we can know what's in it?
So we know what's
what
in
do you just fell off the truck yesterday? Were you born last night?
Yeah. Well, I've read most of it, not all of it, but in bits and pieces. And, you know, there's stuff in there. There's a lot of people, you know, talk about being Christians and the mark of the beast. There are things in there about RFIDs. Now they under the
biometrics.
Well,
they call it biometrics.
That's right. They cleverly put it in to the, you know, monitoring of equipment. But then they go and they talk about they have to be compatible, which, you know, there's RFID chips that go on equipment that aren't made to be inserted into humans but the thing is, and they talk about that in the Obamacare about tracking, once again, our sneaky government. You know, they say, oh yeah, we got to be able to track our equipment. And everybody on the face goes, oh, that makes sense for inventory management, blah, blah, blah. And so, but then they sneak in, oh, by the way, we also need to have biometric chips that we can place, you know, we need also develop biometric. Now, why would you develop a chip to put in a human being unless you wanted to put it in a human being? Oh, I know why.
Not only to keep track of you, not only to keep track of your finances, not only so they can scan you if you get pulled over, but here's the other thing. If you snap and start shooting people, they can type into the computer your name, come up with your RFID chip number, and go, oh, push this button that says self-destruct, and it kill you on the spot, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think with drone technology, they'll just bomb you.
But this way is way easier, and you don't get no collateral damage.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I haven't had an opportunity to have one of these chips in my hands and to actually see what's put into them or what kind of poison.
I won't have one.
Oh no, I would definitely not have one. I would just like to see one. I mean, and see the type of if they're putting any kind of carcinogens in there or anything.
Right. Yeah, I am in agreement. You know, I'm not saying that they are doing that. That's just my personal opinion that if they can do it, why not? I would if I was trying to control somebody.
This is the thing, and you know, this is how this is going to play out. I don't have a magic ball here, but I'm telling you, this is how this is all going to play out. You're going to get into Obamacare. You know, I'm a big guy. I need to lose some weight. There's no doubt about it. So they're going to go, you know, they're going to go, well, you know what? It's not fair that because you eat too much or because you're big and you don't exercise enough, it's just not fair that everybody they're going to use the peer pressure model. It's not fair that everybody has, that everybody has to pay for you.
Well, that's the thing, Jeff.
Yeah.
They keep pushing this. People are tired for paying for you.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you something. Every time I went to the hospital and I didn't have health insurance, I got the bill. I had to pay the bill.
Exactly.
I was responsible for that bill. Not my next door neighbor, not the guy down the street. Yeah. I was.
Well, my firm believer is that we're not supposed to live forever anyways. And if I have a terminal disease, I'm just going to say, hey, look, I'm going to hang out with JC for a while. But right now you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You're hanging out with us here at www.themidnightpatriot.com. When we get back from the break, we'll continue the conversation with Joe and, bring up some other topics of interest. But join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. If you'd like to join us in the studio, you can give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. Control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us live every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, or 24/7 on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Also join us on our sister site, patriotfb.com. That's patriotfb.com for all the latest news and social media as it relates to the Patriots. We've got just an extensive social media network that we're building over there. And, if you haven't signed up, go over there, take a look at it. We have, I would say, one of the best and one of the biggest video collections out there on the internet as far as Patriot news and everything. So, Scott, Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
That's quite a mouthful to say, all that, the Midnight Patriot show, isn't it?
It is kind of crazy. And one of the things, being in Wisconsin, I love milk. And one of the things they tell you, do not drink milk 2 hours before, because it will mess you up. But,
really?
Yeah. They tell you, do not drink milk or don't drink any dairy products, because you won't be able to speak that quickly if you do that. And to be honest, I'll be honest with you, and I apologize to all my listeners. The last week and a half to 2 weeks, I have not been on my A game for broadcasting, because I'm just so wrapped up with the new site and stuff. But we're getting back there. This show, I will tell you, Joe, you coming on has just put a fire into me. I don't know if you guys, the difference between last night and tonight, where last night I was like, and Stone's going to be kicking me in the butt. He's like, why don't you give me the same service? But the reality of it is, you being on the show tonight has fired me, has got me going again. And I'm, my voice is, I hear my voice coming back to me and stuff. But I did want to, one of the things that we did with Patriot FB, if you haven't joined, we have an ongoing chat room. You can join us, and we talk and we chat during the show and after the show and between breaks and stuff. And I wanted to say this, Scott. Scott came across an article in the chat room, and you're talking about chickens. I know that you chimed in there a little bit, Joe, talking about chickens coming over from China. That our government is going to allow China to actually import chickens into the United States. And then, of course, yeah. Well, the scary part is the company, and I've got to pull it up. Natural News had it, but the company that is importing the chickens is the same company that was killing the dogs, that was making the food for the dog foods. Yes, the same contamination. Yeah. So I don't know about Sandy and I were talking about this the other day. We'll never eat chicken again in a store. I mean, the chickens that we're going to get are going to be free range. Chickens that we know, or go to a local butcher, because Kentucky Fried Chicken and stuff, or any McDonald's.
How do you say Kentucky Fried Chicken to Chinese?
Yeah.
The cat couldn't outrun the chef.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy out there, and they're making laws to where if you live in the city limits, there's a no livestock law, so you can't have a little fenced-in area with 10 or 12 chickens in it.
Yeah.
And they want you dependent on the system. They do not want you to have the gardens. Right? You can see that by the war on gardens.
Well, I mean, they want you to eat the Monsanto food and the genetically altered, modified food. Now, I will have to say, Hawaii actually just passed a law, no GMO food.
Yeah, I seen that the other day, and that's a good win for us.
Yep.
Now, if we can get that in here in the United States. But the problem of it is these people in the major cities that are just like walking around going da 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 da. They don't care. They don't,
As long as I get it cheap.
Yeah, as long as I can get it for 99 cents and it's shoved between two buns, give it on over.
Yeah, even though, and look, I'll be honest with you. I lived on the McDonald's diet, and I like my Big Macs. It's obvious and stuff. But the thing, too, is I'll be the first one to tell you, like a smoker, I'm not a smoker, but I'll tell you, if I get lung cancer, I ain't going to blame, the cigarette companies.
Right.
Because if I get diabetes, and I don't have it yet, but if I get diabetes and everything, I'm not going to blame, McDonald's for making me fat. I'm not going to blame, I'm the one that took that food and shoved it down my throat in such a quantity or such,
Yeah.
that made
Well,
me.
Ronald McDonald didn't
Yeah.
come to your house with a shotgun going, "Hey, boy,
Yeah.
you need to come down here to McDonald's and buy a cheeseburger."
Exactly. I mean, and the thing is that but I would love, and that's one of the things that I would love, and Sandy, we've been talking about this, is getting a little piece of heaven out somewhere and doing our own. It would do a world of good for me, and and everything, and I know it would.
Yeah.
But the reality of we still got one young one that's going to be entering in high school, so we got to wait till she gets done. But once she's going to college, we're gone. we're gonna be living somewhere.
I'm blessed that way because my two sons are out of school and they're gone from home doing their own path, walking their own path in life.
Yep.
And so now I don't have to worry about stuff.
Yeah.
I can concentrate on this particular fight and this particular issue.
Exactly.
And I know in my soul, it's like getting up in the morning and putting your feet on the floor. It's something I have to do.
Yes.
Now, mind you, I was not always a good citizen in the United States by no means whatsoever. I'm not that perfect angel at all.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make up. I've been trying to make up for that in the last 20 years of my life, and this is just something I have to do.
Yep. No, I'm the same way. I mean, no one. Look, we are one of the most forgiving nations. When it comes. I mean, people. We all make mistakes. I am no angel. I've made mistakes. I've made bad business decisions and stuff. But I will tell you this: I've never asked anybody else to suffer because of something that I did or said. I mean, and I'm going through that right now in a sense. And everything in a business venture that just didn't work out, and we made our we fixed it, and we learned from it and we moved forward from it.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, but I've never asked anybody. I had attorneys that were I was talking to. They were all like, "Oh, declare bankruptcy, do this, do that, walk away from it." And I'm like, I can't do that. That is not who I am. Now, granted, it could be the easy way out and everything, but that's not who I am. I am not wired that way. Now, my other partners were like, "Oh yeah, we'll just declare bankruptcy and walk away." And that's exactly what they did. But because I'm the solvent one in the group, I don't know if they declared bankruptcy, but because I'm the solvent one in the group, I'm the one that got all, that got the phone calls from the attorneys, and I'm the one who negotiated the payouts and all the deals. And so, that's just, but if you want to play with the big boys, you can't whine and cry if it doesn't go your way. And
life's a crapshoot, and all you can do is roll the dice and hope for the best.
Exactly.
And take responsibility for your actions at the end of the day. Okay, I could have done this a little better, or what have you. Don't blame other people for the stuff that you've done.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So, so we talked about DHS. I know you had another topic. Let's bring them up. Let's start.
All right. Well, I've been running across this thing on RT website. I guess it's called Real Television, and they've got a thing about this. NASA unveils this 6-foot humanoid robot.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have been paying attention to the DARPA robot for about a year now.
Yeah.
And these things move just like us.
Yeah.
They've got fingers, they've got hands, they've got everything, And as soon as they perfect these things and Chevrolet starts mass producing them, or whatever company it is out there that starts mass producing them, your and I job are done.
Yeah.
Because number one, the New World Order, they want to get rid of 90% of the population.
Yeah.
And what they have done, have you ever heard of Plum Island?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, they've closed that down. Well, they moved that chemical plant 25 miles to my house. I am exactly the dead center of the United States. Now, I can't think of a dumber place in the world, especially in Tornado Alley, to put a chemical warfare that makes chemical germs for warfare and such have you. They had to close down Plum Island because they had animals that they could not recognize washing up on shore and crawling around on that island. And now they put it here.
Yep.
So between these robots, as soon as they start mass producing these, then there's going to be an accident. I bet you any kind of money there's going to be an accident.
Well, look, this is, I mean, you're already seeing it. And for those actually, RT, believe it or not, Joe, that means Russian television.
Okay, well,
it's Russian. Yeah, it's actually Russian. RT is actually owned by the Russian media.
all right. Well, I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but there's a point. The reason why I bring this up, when I want to get true news, RT is one of the sources that I get my news from.
Yeah.
And this is how sad our mainstream media is. When I have to turn, this is Pravda. RT is Pravda. For those that grew up in the cold era, this is Russian news reporting that was written. Larry King's even on there now. He does his show on there as well. But the thing is, we got to go to Russian news sources in order to get our news. And it's good. And I've sourced most of the news on there, and it does check out. It's not Pravda. It's not, but RT.com is, and it's sad that we have to go to the Russians.
Well, you're in trouble when the Russian president starts making more sense than your own president.
Yes.
Especially over this deal with Syria.
Yep.
But back to my original thing.
Yep. I want to kind of bring some people over. Plum Island was the germ warfare, and Plum Island was actually off the East Coast.
Yeah, off of New York.
Off of New York. And and the scientists, the head scientists, and this is the thing that a lot of Americans just don't know, don't understand, because they're like, how this happen? It happened, when Nazi Germany fell. Obviously we got von Braun, and we got all the scientists. Well, some of the scientists that we did get were some of the German Nazi biochemical warfare.
That's where tick Lyme disease, when you get Lyme disease from a tick, that was a direct product of Plum Island.
Exactly. See, and that a lot of people, so our bio-welfare was actually there at Plum Island. It was head up by a Nazi. By Nazi scientists, and they developed all sorts of diabolical, bio warfare weapons. And you're absolutely right. The neighbors started complaining because animals were washing up on the shore that escaped from their testing, that were washing up on the shore, and that they were deformed, unrecognizable.
Disfigured,
unrecognizable. So the government decided to move it out to out in the middle.
Yeah, they moved it over here to, our Kansas State is. Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah.
And they spent $985 billion. You should see this little town. It's going crazy.
Yep. Well, the other part of that, though, is, you got, the biowarfare unit for the United States Army is located there at Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah.
And stuff. And that's where the training grows and everything. And so you're absolutely right, though.
If you're planning a future accident, what better place to put it than in the middle of the country?
Yeah. So it'll spread out. And, and people are sitting there going, well, the government, they couldn't hide anything like that. Well, guess what? They can hide it, because we reported about this. Here you go. Most people, and I would be shocked if anybody goes, oh, I knew about that, unless you heard me kind of mention it last night. There is a nuclear power plant in
I posted about that story, the one that had the explosion.
Yep, you beat me to it. Most people don't. They had an explosion in their transformers at the nuclear power plant. Did you hear anything about it on the mainstream media?
No.
Not one word.
No, I just happened to run across it yesterday.
Exactly, and that was in Arkansas.
Arkansas, yeah.
There was a nuclear power plant that had an explosion in their transformers. And a huge explosion. There were several explosions, actually. It was reported throughout the day. Local media never once reported on mainstream media. One of the things, too, Fukushima. We talk about that.
I've got something I want to say about that when you get done.
Okay, there are things going on. We talk about, Greenpeace is, put out the thing about Santa Claus, even though it's the coldest, on record or whatever. And they're all like, oh, the polar bears and all of this. Right now, 28% of the polar bears that are tracked or whatever have some form of radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
100%. I'm sure. Well, I'll steal your thunder, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So, backing up on the story and RT with these humanoid, these robots that they're building, they have already, the DARPA has already approved. All right. So you got drones that can fly by themselves.
Clean up they have to have somebody to clean up the body.
That's right. You have drones. Yeah. I mean,
go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say they already have drones that they can fly. Unmanned drones. They also have drones that can fly unpiloted. In other words, they can fly these things, set them on a coordinate, and basically say anything within this area destroy. They already have those. DARPA already did the United States Marine Corps is now implementing it's a pack horse drone that can go anywhere, but they also have armament for it. They already have mobile machine gun nests that they can set up that are on sentry systems that DARPA's already created, that they can just put, if they want to surround
the hummingbird robots the other day that I posted about.
Yep, exactly. So now they're going to build these humanoids, and it all sounds futuristic, Buck Rogerish and stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is it's the people that are building these things and what their intentions are, and they're all going to go, we're going to take care of you. But the reality of it is that no, they're not building it to take care of us, because if they were building, they could take that money that they spend in all of these programs and they can really truly wipe out disease, and they can really truly do that. It's all about control, and we need to wake up now. Let's move on to Fukushima, because I did want to talk about that today. So what do you got?
All right, Fukushima. Here, I got it on here before it was news.com. They're a great source of information. Okay, and it says update. West Coast radiation not monitored for radiation. California officials admit. And then it goes into a video, which I'll post online a little bit later, and article, excuse me, I tend to get rattling on, and about they're not even monitoring out there.
Nope.
I mean, because if they start to monitor and the monitors start going off, then they're going to have to do something else about it.
Well, you're going to have mass panic. And JJ McCarty on his show, he had a big thing on that, and I agree with him. Look, like I said, you got 28% of the polar bears right now suffering from radiation sickness. You got 100% of the tuna that's been captured up in the up there by Alaska and stuff. 100% that has radiation disease, or radiation levels. You've got animals, you got krill and all that moving closer. I mean, the sea animals know there's something wrong. They're moving closer inland. You're seeing a lot more whales and stuff closer to the shore than you ever have, because they're going where the food's at, and they're basically all mass exiting away from Japan. Now you don't hear anything about it. You don't hear anything on mainstream media. That disaster, when Russia, that Chernobyl.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
When they had their meltdown that they had that thing sealed within a year. And
but
we
it
were
wasn't
all
near
over.
as bad as what this Fukushima.
Oh, that was nothing compared to Fukushima. Nothing compared to. But you know what? They have no plan. That's the part that gets me. They have zero plan on what they're going to do. The greatest minds and actually JJ raised a good point. We were talking about this earlier today. Instead of going over and spending our resources on, going to Nelson Mandela's funeral and doing what this government did and acting like everything's A-okay and stuff, we need, as a country, as a world, we need to get our biggest and our brightest minds together, and they need to be, dealing with that because.
Well, here's the thing, Jeff. Honda robots over there, they got those little, I forget the ISMOs.
Yeah.
They got a hold of Honda robots and said, hey, we need a robot that can climb in here and turn valves. Well, Honda wouldn't go. Honda said, oh, well, this robot's not ready for that yet. So they took like 6 months to develop a robot that had tracks that couldn't move the stuff out of the way like the little Honda robot could. It couldn't bend over and push stuff out of the way to get to these valves. And then they still ain't used it, and it's been like 18 months to go in and turn these valves that need to be turned over there.
And, and I just have to, hats off. Hats off to the Russians, because basically what the Russian did is that they basically said, you guys created this mess, whoever you own her, the president and stuff. And they basically said, you can either die from radiation poisoning, saving your country, or you can die with a bullet in your head. Take a pick. And, these guys are all sitting around as they're sitting around, and
I imagine they got plans already to change the name of that company.
Well, they're destroyed, but they're destroyed. We're going to see, it's going to be anywhere from 40 to 100 years until we actually see the physical effects of this.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about, they have over 300 tons of contaminated water.
Yeah, going out into the ocean.
And now they're going to dump it. Their plan is they're going to dump it right into the ocean. And
so you were saying that you like to watch those fishing shows. Just think what that's going to do to the Alaskan king crab.
Oh, they're destroyed. They have destroyed. I'll tell you one thing. They've destroyed that industry. This is really bad. Well, it's not bad. Yeah. I'm actually looking for a Geiger counter on eBay or one of those shows or one of those websites. I'm looking for a Geiger counter. And when I go buy food, I'm going to go to Sam's or wherever, you buy, we buy our fish and stuff. I am actually going to go there with my Geiger counter, and I'm going to Geiger counter the food.
Yeah, you got
before I buy it.
Do you have that app for your smartphone that tells you if it's GMO food?
I do not. I typically, what we do with our food is that we buy our stuff from people that we know typically, and right. I've done the research. I mean, we stay with pretty much our brands, but you're right. They can slip. I mean, the problem is that the definition of GMO in the United States is so vague that you don't know. I mean, they can have a mixture.
Well, there's an app out there that you can put on your smartphone that reads the barcode on each individual product, and this, for people in the cities, really should use this, and scan that item that you pick up off the shelf, and that will tell you if that company uses GMO type style of food in the production.
Oh, wow.
So you have a choice whether or not to buy that product.
Okay. Well, I'll have to. I'll put it in the Apple iTunes, because I do have an iPhone for my work phone, and then I have my Android phone for my private. But
right.
I'll have to do it I'll have to do it on the Android. But
and I'll look that up and post it on Patriot FB for everybody. If you want to go to patriotfb.com, join up. I put lots and lots of information on there. I haven't even posted 1/10 of the information that I have from my Facebook and other sources. Yeah. I spend hours a day doing nothing but research.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else to do. I live in a small town. I live alone.
Yeah. Well, one of the things here's a feature that we are going to do is that we're going to, how we categorize our videos?
Yeah.
And stuff, and we are going to put a category for posts so that people can go back to the archive and say I want to see all the articles that are on New World Order. They can do that, and it will actually bring them all up.
That's a real good idea, because on Facebook, when I have posted so much stuff over the last year on there, because I've only really used Facebook for the last year, because I just refused to be part of that for a long time, but it was a way I could use it to get the word out. So I went to it, and I was looking for something I put on there like last spring. It took me 6 hours to go through every single thing I had to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
they
we
didn't have a search.
Yeah, no, we're gonna put that in there because obviously we have those links in the databases and stuff, but there's a lot of features that we want to do, and that was it's funny because I was talking with the guys that are helping me develop this thing and all the network stuff, and they said, well, one of the things that you ought to do on like Facebook is that you ought to have a ticketing system so when people have suggestions or whatever, they can put it in there, and then you can say, hey, look, yeah, we're working on this or no. But one of the suggestions that came up is that we have categories for everything else. Why don't we have categories for our posts? And in that way, like I said, people can then historically go back and say, like, New World Order. They can click on it and they can see all the posts and all the things about New World Order that have been posted collectively on the site. So,
I love the Patriot FB site. It's a great site. There's only one thing that I wish you would do to it.
What's
when
that?
You're scrolling down. I want to be able to scroll down that whole thing without stopping and hitting the add more button.
Oh, I can actually change that. We can tell how many records we show at a time. So what we can do is, and we do that because, the speed. I mean, I don't,
exactly.
Facebook has,
countless
they got
stories.
thousands of servers all over the world. We just have, we have our 5 main ones, and then we have our 103, I think. I got to count them up, but between Amazon, Cloudflare, and Akeem for our CDNs. So we have to add it, get a total. We were going to put a server status page, but you're right. I can adjust that. I can make it at least 10, so then that way it will catch up to you.
Yeah. PatriotFB.com is a fantastic site out there for you folks that haven't been out there yet. You own, like Jeff says, you own your own stuff. If you delete something, it's gone.
Yep.
They don't have no record of it. They don't need to keep records of it.
Nope.
And it's just a fantastic site.
Nope.
And I just you can't thank Jeff enough for pioneering this type of website on here because it's needed. We have to have a place to where we can feel free to post stuff and talk amongst ourselves. And, I know a lot of people don't believe in letting the right in, but we need to have, because if we only have the left or like-minded people in this site, then we are going to convince no one, because we're already convinced.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you may, sooner or later, we're going to have to let the right in so we can try to get people out. Get the word out.
Oh, and that's the thing is to put the information out there. And look, it was funny because I actually saw a meme earlier today where a guy did a picture and says, I don't claim to be a patriot. I don't claim to be a patriot. So all of the other, so I can convert liberals. Or something like that. It's like, I don't act like a patriot so I can convert liberals. He goes, I act like a patriot so I let you know that you're not alone.
Exactly. I know the one you're talking about.
And I saw that, and I was like, that is so true. Because, we think that we're, you wake up in the morning and you go, am I the only one that thinks this way? And
I'm in full agreement.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that, no, you're not. There's a huge amount of people. And there's 2 reasons. Now, we kind of back up. I give some people some backstory. There's a reason why I picked the name, the Midnight Patriot. Number one, I'm a night person, so obviously the show's going to be done at night. But more importantly, the reason why I did the Midnight Patriot is because Paul Revere.
Yeah.
Paul Revere, the write-up Paul Revere, he was the original Midnight Patriot. Well, his thing was, the British are coming. The British are coming. Oh. For me, I know. And we haven't even scratched the control of the New World Order when we're talking about the news. I know that everything that's going on in this country is by design, and it's done by design by European and
Yeah,
the,
because our
and
banking system is
yeah.
based out of London.
Exactly.
London and Paris.
Exactly.
And they know exactly what happened. And, you know, they come into power in 1913, and then in 1930, they orchestrated the greatest downfall of the stock market now. And if you look at the stock market today, you better be jumping out of it because that thing is just going up and up and up and up. And can anybody remember 2008, what they called that? Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, the housing bubble. It popped.
Actually, you know, Joe, you know, we're going to go into 2 hours is already up, by the way. I just want to let you know it does go by fast. I warned you. And so, so what we'll do is we're going to take a break. When we get back, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what I think is going to happen in the near term and what this president is counting on. And it directly relates to the stock market bubble. And, you know, and give you some warning signs and stuff. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here live every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, or on the web 24/7 at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs, cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money, always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American...
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
At this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care.
And will never have to pay St. Jude for anything ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment.
listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com or on our sister site, patriotfb.com, if you want to join in the conversation through chat. Or you can also give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Right before we went off to the break and everything, I want to play this clip, and this is important. You know, this is, I actually believe, I was listening to the JJ show last week where we were talking about the President of the United States was in cahoots or possibly in cahoots with the military. Well, actually, military went against his orders about shooting off an EMP-like event to coincide with the solar flares that never happened, and then they were going to blame it on a solar flare. I heard that, but the other part of it, see, for this conspiracy, Joe, to work, our government, you know, in order for them to take full control of this country, of this nation, there's got to be an event. There's got to be an event. They got to have something. There has to be
a false flag event.
A false flag event. And I honestly believe, and I think it's going to start with our budget. And let me tell you why. This is, and you know, I want to play this clip because I came across this morning, and it's basically talking about the budget deal. And I'm going to parlay this. This is, you know, Stockman. Stockman, for those that don't know, Rick Santori and David Stockman, they're OMB, they're mercantile from the Chicago Board of Trade, and he was the OMB director under President Ronald Reagan, and you know, I'm just going to put it in their own, you know, let them speak in their own words here. And this actually was on the Squawk Box today.
I think it's amazing, first of all, that we had Mr. Stockman slated for today. Right. How appropriate. All right, if ever I had a guy. You're my budget guy. Tell me your impressions after combing through some of the numbers of what has been put forth by both parties yet to be voted on.
Well, first, let's be clear. It's a joke and a betrayal. It's the final surrender of the House Republican leadership to Beltway politics and to kicking the can and ignoring this budget monster that's hurtling down the road. They're busting the caps. And it's totally unnecessary. It's going to add $70 billion to spending this year and next year, and then they're going to pretend to save it in 22 and 23, way, way down the road. They've not only kicked the can down the road, they've kicked it into low Earth orbit. You know, it's unjustified. Let's look at what they've done. Defense with the sequester is $600 billion of outlays. We can easily live with that. Prior to the, you know, Bush wars and invasions, we had $400 billion in defense spending in today's real dollars. 50% more, and they can't live with it? Do we have any new industrial state enemies in the world? No. Are there greater threats in the world? No. Have we been fired as the world's policeman? Yes. So why can't they allow the defense sequester to happen? They should. The House side. If we let the sequester happen and not bust it as they did, $580 billion of domestic discretionary spending. Bill Clinton left with $400 billion in today's dollars. He wasn't starving Head Start or the National Health Institute and all the rest. There's plenty of room, but they're unwilling to make the tough choices. Now, I understand Democrats doing that. The only hope of getting our fiscal situation under control is if the House Republicans stand up, and they've totally capitulated, and I think it is going to trigger an enormous negative reaction from the Tea Party Republicans, who ought to go after every incumbent Republican who votes for this abomination.
Now, when we talk about kicking the timeline, David, we're not talking about kicking it just maybe till the midterms. Why don't you tell the audience, in your opinion, exactly what this timeline really is?
Yeah, that's the thing. When you take a 2-year vacation on the fiscal budget, and that's what they're doing, locking it in through October 1, 2015, the end of fiscal 2015. A few weeks later is the Iowa straw poll. Both parties will be going hammer and tong into the presidential election. Open primaries in both parties, no incumbent. There's not a chance anything will be done about the fiscal equation, which is festering, until 2017. And if you get around to addressing it, you can't have an impact till 2018 or 2019. Now, who thinks we can wait that long? We have $17 trillion of debt now. Just by the momentum built in, it'll be $25 trillion after the next presidential election. When interest rates normalize, there's going to be an explosion.
So you know, no one's seen this budget deal, Joe. No one's actually seen it. I mean, we haven't seen it. This is Paul Ryan. This is him, and I'm deeply disappointed in him and everything. But this is my take on it, and I wanted everybody to hear that last bit. They kicked it down the can. They're going to put it right into the primaries of the presidential election. That's when it's going to kick in and stuff. But the telling part of that is he said there's no way that the economy can make it that long. So basically they're you're a patient, right? You go see your doctor, and your doctor, you say, Doc, am I going to make it? And the doctor says, well, guess what? There's a new drug that's coming out in 5 years, and you'll be able to take it. And he's like, that's awesome, Doc. All right. That's awesome. And he goes, I can't wait. He goes, but the bad news is that you're going to be dead in 3.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that's exactly what they did. Now, going back to the false flag, what we need to start watching is that this president, and I was listening, if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to J.J. McCarthy's show that he did about a week ago, we have a link to it on our post at the midnightpatriot.com, and maybe I'll bring it back up. Maybe we'll replay it, because now J.J. is actually going to be he's going to be our daytime broadcaster. Maybe we'll replay the show. A very well-known, highly respected researcher basically uncovered a plot, and you got to listen, because I don't want to diminish the story. This thing, when I listened to it, my mouth just dropped.
Are you talking about the nuclear incident in North Carolina?
Yep, the EMP, and he actually, it's not just the incident. He actually talks about the whole plot as an EMP. That was apparently, there was supposed to be a solar flare, because right now the sun, a lot of people don't know.
Crazy.
Well, the sun is actually reversing its poles, and it does that. And during that time, you have massive EMP potential, and they were expecting a huge EMP, and it didn't happen. I'll get it replaced.
I'll tell you why, Jeff. And if you go on my page, you will find out I've been posting about this since October 21st. Yeah. I spent 8 hours posting this story to every news organization I know, and it's called "What Did Obama and the New World Order Just Try to Do?"
Yes. Okay. So you know about it. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know about it. I'm well aware of it. And everybody thought I was crazy, but then 2 weeks later, my story under somebody else's name, almost word for word, showed up on CNN.
Yep.
Okay. They tried to do that. They tried to nuke there's a president that tried to nuke using that for the EMP thing. Yep. They nuked North Carolina.
Yep.
And what gets me is I was following a little story before that ever happened about them moving all their resources to Sector 3 about 2 months before that happened. They were moving in medical supplies and police and all kinds of equipment and stuff to go after. They were going to nuke the city of North Carolina, or Charlotte.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people, I can hear everybody go, oh, that's because, look, this is the thing. You got to track this. And we've been reporting on it, and I really didn't. And like I said, I got to get JJ with his interview up. Because this thing is, and he lays it out and he gives details, and
and this was supposed to go on October 3rd is when that was supposed to happen.
And there was actually an earthquake. Now a lot of people are like, oh, you're crazy, Jeff. No, hold on.
That earthquake was the nuclear bomb going off underneath
the ocean, and that's why a lot of people don't realize this. You know, when Obamacare was all blowing up, you notice that you didn't see Biden anywhere.
Yeah,
you know that say it ain't so, Joe. Do you know where Biden was?
Where?
He was in Russia. He was in Russia the whole time. And so a lot of people don't know that, but his travel logs are available if you do a FOIA request. He was in Russia. Now, the problem is that in Russia, they were pissed because we obviously violated, when you detonate a nuclear warhead in the ocean, you actually violate treaties and stuff. So, actually we got a caller. Hey, caller, are you there?
Hey, yeah.
Hey,
this is Josh from Longview, Washington.
Hey, Josh, how are you doing,
Josh?
buddy?
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Just calling in to give a little quick history and shed some light on earlier subject.
Sure.
I was just able to get the number about the Obamacare hand implants.
Oh, yeah. Share it with us.
That's kind of a cover-up within itself. A lot of people say that's a conspiracy theory or what have you. But in reality, it was in the bill. From the way I understand it, it actually got taken out of the bill in the new downloadable formats you can get online.
Yep.
Yeah, Josh, that was in section. Hold on, I got the information here exactly where it was at. But go ahead until I find it, please.
Yep.
But I was looking around online a while back because I had a debate with some friends, and it's hard to find anything about it now. They've kind of censored it down.
Yep.
A lot of articles saying it's
Yeah, that was at
all hype and that.
That was in section 2521, page 1014, and it was under HR 4872.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll definitely look around on the internet, see if it's still being heavily censored. I wasn't able to find exactly where it was at in the bill anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have a printout of it or anything, but just wanted to give a shout out to Joe. I talked to him on Facebook a lot, and what was funny is you guys were talking about Patriot FB and Mac Worley, which Jeff was on the show the other day, liked it, so I liked it, which Joe liked it, and then he signed up, so it's kind of we're all interconnected. I thought that was really cool.
It is. Actually, I got to give
kind of worked out.
I got to give Mac a call because we are starting up this 24/7 network, and I would love to have Mac on the show. Have him as one of our broadcasters. I just haven't had time to reach out to him yet, and I know he listens every once in a while. So
yeah, I'll tell him about it. He's been pretty busy. I don't think he's able to tune in tonight. He didn't say he was going to tune in, so I'll let him know about the new program and everything. So.
Yeah. No. Hey, thanks for calling in and stuff. And Joe, what is that? I want to write that down because I'm going to put it in the Googler.
Okay, hold on again. I'll have to find HR 4872, section 2521, page 114.
There you go. Wow.
Okay, and Josh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, I want to thank you, brother, for all the help you're doing out there in Washington. I know you're going to protests and rallies around your area, and I recommend that anybody that's in Washington, look Josh up online. He can say his last name. I won't.
Josh Malcolm.
Yep.
The events are Stand Your Ground in Olympia, January 14th. Then we have the Pack and Heat meet and greet, which is January 4th, and that's during the 12 to 4, and we have the Constitutional Study Group, which is coming up very soon on the 22nd. And you can get all this information through Mac Worley III or me on Facebook, Josh Malcolm.
Okay.
Joshua Malcolm.
Josh, can you guys post that up at patriotfb.com? Because the reason why.
Yeah, I'm going to register here right now.
Yeah,
after the show. And
get registered. Don't use, and I'm starting to gear people towards this. You can use your Facebook to log in, but I'm highly recommending because they started to block me today. Just do a flat out registration outside of Facebook, instead of using Facebook. Get that posted, and the reason being is because we'll get those broadcasts out as events, and then we can link from ours back to Facebook. And the reason why is, one of the reasons why I started patriotfb.com was because I got tired of being put in jail every time I wanted to broadcast an event to all of my friends and stuff. And so, if you can get that posted.
Yeah, that's true. I have feared that some because I'm running off my personal Facebook. My other one, something happened with it. So, all right. That's it. So I'll get all that on Patriot FB. I'll let you guys do your thing.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Josh.
God bless America later.
Yep. Bye now. Wow. See,
yeah, Josh is a good kid. He's really we talk to each other every day on a daily basis,
Sure.
and he's one of the young, fine Americans that are out there fighting a good fight.
Yep.
And that's what it is. People 20 to 30 years old are going to have to start picking up this fight, because it's people my age that are 50 and above that are picking it up right now. But, sooner or later, they're going to come and they're going to silence all us old timers, because we remember what it's like to be free. We know what it's like. These younger generation don't remember this. So if they take something away from somebody that they don't know they ever had, they don't miss it.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, is that these young people, I mean, there was actually a video that I was listening to the other day where they actually view us, because of the social programming that's going on in their schools and everything. They view us as a hindrance to a better world. We're cattle, we're in the way, and they do. They take your children, you put them in public schools. If you do put them in public schools, they get them and they tell my daughter at 13 years of age, my youngest one, all of my girls, I've got 3 of them, are all patriots. These are girls that, from our oldest all the way to the youngest and stuff, they'll take care of themselves. My youngest daughter comes and she tells me what is said and in school, and unfortunately I'm not in a position to put her in a private school,
right,
or even homeschool at that point, because I don't have the skills. So she does go, but it's funny though, because she's a reader, and she tells me, she's like, Dad, my history teacher told me this, that the Second Amendment is an optional amendment. It really doesn't mean what everybody thinks of it. And she's like, Dad, I argued with her, and then of course I almost got in trouble. And I'm like, yeah, just they're
going to beat down any child that stands up for, hey, that ain't right.
Yeah.
And do you know that to get the truth in the textbooks, this is how long they've been at it, to get the truth in a textbooks of our true history, you have to buy a textbook pre-1937, because everything that's from 1938 and today has been propagandized to where it's what they want to say. Like the Common Core thing now, they're teaching that the reason why Obama failed is because all of us white people are racist. Well, race has nothing to do with it. You're doing a crummy job, sir.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody's like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's the attack. Whenever people have the truth, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. And whenever you attack this president, oh, you're a racist. And I'm sick and tired of that. And it's not conspiracy theory when it's based upon fact. And,
yeah, exactly.
Going back to this thing in North Carolina, a lot of people got to understand, this did happen. There was a 4.5. If you go out to the USGA site, they probably scrubbed it by now, but after I heard about it, I actually went out there. I saw it. There was a 4.5 magnitude earthquake, and it was centered right off of Lejeune, and it was it was there. And now you have experts who are coming back and saying that, you had 3 nuclear warheads that were transferred off the books, transferred. Now, these are nuclear warheads. There was more paperwork done on you when you go get a gun than there was on these 3 nuclear warheads. So that should tell you something right there. 3 nuclear warheads moved from Texas, from the Texas stores over to North Carolina. The generals that were over all of that have all been terminated. They've all disappeared in the sense that they don't talk. The general that was investigating the transfer, who was a combat Air Force pilot, he was a combat pilot, highly skilled, had thousands of hours of flight time. His private airplane that he was flying mysteriously broke apart and fell out of the sky and blew up.
Yeah, I'm just about to post some information about that.
Yeah, so and JJ's got a great, and we do have a link. So you got to go to midnightpatriot.com, and you got to go and look for it in there. But it's there, and you got to listen. It's a link to his show, and maybe I'll get him on. I'll probably talk to him a little bit later, or tomorrow morning at least, and we'll get him on. We'll maybe do a rebroadcast, because everybody's got to listen to this. But that didn't happen. They weren't successful.
No, because the top brass didn't allow it, because there's been a few people out there that said, hey, we're going to stand up for it, and they paid for it with their careers and their lives.
Not only that, but you didn't have the solar event. They were trying to tie it in with a solar event to make it sound like it was a solar EMP issue. But now, like I said, going back to my earlier analogy about the patient, we got a great cure for you. In 5 years, you're going to be perfectly fine, but unfortunately, you're going to die in 3. Now, what I think the next false flag, I don't think it's going to be an attack on the United States, a physical attack. I think what they're going to do is they're going to blow the market up. They're going to blow the financial markets up. And when
I'm in full agreement with you there.
I think that's what you need to be looking for. And I swear to you,
let me explain a little bit about that.
Well, I just want to say this real quick, and then you can go into.
Okay.
For all of my listeners, all of my friends out there, I just want to tell you, Noah got a message from God, built the ark. I'm telling you, I am compelled to tell you this before we go on any further. If you've got money in the financial system, you need to take that money out, and you need to buy yourself food. You need to buy yourself things that you're going to need when think about it this way. When the grocery store goes out, what are you going to need? When you can't get gas, what are you going to need? And those are the things you need to be stockpiling now. Forget about your cable TV, forget about your cell phone, forget about all that stuff, because everything that you've got, instead of putting it in a bank, you need to get your money out of that bank, and you need to get those items that you're going to use. You need to get yourself a good, reliable source of transportation, and you also need to go on eBay or Craigslist and get yourself some storable water containers that you can store your water. Because when they blow this financial market up, and it's coming and stuff, you won't be able to go to the bank. You won't be able to go to the food store because they're going to be out of food. You're not going to want to leave your house because, because of the safety of your home and stuff, unless you've got somewhere else to bug out to. But I tell you, as you listen to me, you guys got to start doing that now, because it's coming. And then, Joe, why don't you go ahead and, I know you got information on what's going on.
I'm going to add something to what you just said. Not only do you need to do that, you need to buy yourself a metal box, a full metal box with a metal lid. You need to put your guns, like a CB radio in it, some food supplies, and some medical supplies out, and take it out somewhere off your property out in the middle of nowhere where you're the only one that knows where it is, and bury it in the ground. And now what that will do, if there is ever an EMP type of thing going on, which they may use to crash the monetary system here with all the computers and everything, that CB radio and any electronics that you put into that box will survive. So like if your car runs on an electronic coil, you might want to put something because your car will be worthless unless it's pre-1970, where it runs off of points and what have you. Put what you think you're going to need in that box and bury it, and so you can have it. Am I getting that across, Jeff?
Oh yeah, no, you're dead on. I mean, you're absolutely right, because a lot of your automobiles, and that's why we have the show. That's why we have a community. I have a modern day, SUV, and I never thought about that. I need to have a backup vehicle an older carburetor. You're right. That runs off of a point system, or I need to get lead shielding for my.
And there's just no way to keep a car unless you got a whole lead garage, and then it's got to be sealed, every little bit of it, in order to keep the EMP out.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I recommend to all my friends to do, just in case. Communications, a way to defend yourself, and a food stock.
Yeah.
You need, because you need those three things.
Yep.
So anyway, and what I was saying, all right, a lot of people don't understand. There's lots and lots and lots of money out there, but do you realize that only 3% of the money is in physical money? The other 97% is all electronic. Okay. Now, 3 weeks ago, going on 4 weeks ago, Russia has introduced a bill into their house, or whatever they call it over there, to where they're outlawing the dollar, which means they are going to go and start buying oil in whatever it is they want to buy oil in. All right. Which whether it be gold, because right now every country on the planet has to buy the American dollar first before they can buy oil. All right, the month before we went into Iraq, Saddam Hussein announced that he was going to go away from that and start selling oil for gold. Right before we went into Libya to get Gaddafi, he done the same thing. He announced that they were going to start selling oil for gold. All right, and they went in there and they took those people out. I don't care what other excuse they have. Yep. That's what they did, because they don't want the American dollar to fall. Yep. And Russia is outlawed, has got it in there to outlaw the American dollar in Russia. Well, China has stopped stockpiling the American dollar.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we had our first interview that I ever did, not doctor, but Ellen Brown. She's the author of The Web of Debt and Public Banking. And she did we were talking about this, the fact that they, get back to my train of thought here as I'm getting pinned and stuff. I can't believe I just lost my thought. I lost my thought in mid-sentence, I guess.
It happens to us all.
Well, no, I mean, one of the things that she was discussing, or we were talking about, is that, the fractional banking system in the United States is basic. They realized very, very early on that there was only about 10% of physical. Now you're absolutely correct. It's now down to 3%. But the thing is that she pointed out is that we can continually do this Ponzi scheme that we're doing because we control the money, so we can set the value. The Fed can set the value one way or the other. The minute the dollar is no longer the preferred currency or the world currency, the Federal Reserve at that point can't manipulate the markets. And at that point, game over.
Yeah, because the loaf of bread that's cost you $2 today will cost you $20 million tomorrow. It's called hyperinflation.
Yep.
When all that money comes back home and there's a glut in the system, there's so much money that it's worthless.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. You got thousands of rubles. We did part of that.
Remember what we done to the Mexican peso back in the 80s?
Yep.
One day it was 6 pesos to the dollar. The very next day it was 1,500 pesos to the dollar.
Yep. And it's it's just a matter of time before it comes back to us and stuff.
But because this is a fiat money system, it's not worth anything more than the monopoly money in your monopoly game.
Exactly.
There's no difference. It's not backed in anything.
Yep. So it's just, but that was the thing, is that that is a sign that you have to start watching. When you start seeing large fluctuations in the market, that's a good indicator that things are happening. But I'm a firm believer that this administration is going to blow up the bubble in the stock market. We're at 1,500 or 15,000, 16,000. We were, hit the high point and stuff. And when this bubble crashes, you're going to see the whole United States economy fall, because this isn't real money. Like you said, not. This is fake money that's been pumped into the system by the Federal Reserve, and now when it crashes, they're going to find out it has zero substance.
Yeah, Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying is that.
All right, and when they pass Obamacare and Obamacare becomes law, that's going to add another $6.2 trillion to the deficit.
Well,
then when they are going to pass this immigration stuff, I don't care what anybody says out there, it's out of our hands because they need more voters. All right, and they're going to pass that. That's going to add another $6.7 trillion. Do you realize for every one of those people out there, we've got to pay for lawyers for them so they can do the paperwork?
Yep.
And that's another $12 trillion. I'll tell you what, I got an idea. Here, let's do this. Let's not do any of that, and let's just send every living citizen in the United States $1 million.
Yeah.
There's 317 million people in the United States. Let's put a price freeze on so people can't jack stuff up.
Yeah.
Send them all $1 million, every man, woman, and child. And you don't think, hey, have you ever heard of that saying, man, I'd like to open a business, but I just don't have the money.
Yeah.
Or I'd like to buy a new house, I just don't have the money. They could make this country recover in a matter of 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, and they could, and that, you know, it's
They don't want to.
They don't want to. You're absolutely correct. There is no
Because
desire.
in order to bring in the world currency like they want to do, first they want to bring us to Amero. In order to bring in the world currency, you cannot have a strong dollar. Just like the reason why they're destroying our country with Obama. He was placed in the presidency. Our votes didn't matter one way or another.
Yep.
He was placed there to do exactly what he's doing, is to destroy this country inside out.
Yep.
Hence the reason why you're hearing everything about this racism now.
Yep.
They're trying to bait the racism
Yep.
card. And because you cannot have a superpower and a one world government at the same time, because the superpower would just say, hey, you know what? Screw you.
Yeah, we don't.
Excuse my language.
You're right. I mean, the reality, and that's what America's always stood for. America's always been, you know, we're not going to do this one world. You know, we're free men. Now there's, you know, it's a systematic attack, and a lot of people know it's a soft kill. And so when people go, well, why are you so concerned? It's like, well, you know, look, all right, so I can shoot you in the head today, or I can slowly kill you and make you suffer for the next 20 years. Now, there's a certain amount of people that will say, well, just shoot me in the head right now. There's most of the Americans are like, well, I'll wait for 20 years, thinking that it's going to get better. It's never going to get better unless we make it better. And, you know, that it goes back to my whole thing, and this is where Stone and I, you know, we talk about this. Yeah, okay, Stone, I'll give you until the next election, but after that, gloves off, because you know, they're setting, and I think the play here is
I don't think we're going to have another election.
Well, I think I don't know. We'll have something, you know, that will appease.
I think
the masses.
martial law will be set in way before that.
And like I said, the minute they go to the street, we need to meet force with force.
And we need to have places like PatriotFB.com to organize ourselves.
Yep.
And we need to get organized, because by the time we get organized, we're all going to find ourselves in the FEMA camp.
Yeah.
They've got the railroad cars with the shackles welded to the grounds already. They ordered 130,000 of them. They've got 30,000 guillotines they've sent out to these FEMA camps. Now, you take that and the FEMA coffins that fit 6 people apiece, and the FEMA camps, the trains, the guillotines, and the coffins, and what does that mean?
Well, hey, Joe, I do want to talk to you about the guillotines. We've been doing extensive research on that. There was never now the shackles. I've actually seen the request, the actual proposal. The guillotines, and the guillotine that they've been showing is actually a model. They have not purchased. That was actually an Art Deco model, the one that they're showing around.
What was the FBI agent's name that broke that story, man? I can't think of his name for the life of me.
I've been researching it, because the guillotine and I'll have Prepper Recons on tomorrow. The guillotine is significant, especially to Christians, because you know there's passage in Revelations about beheading and stuff, and so we have been extensively looking at. And I don't want, you know, one of the things.
Well, I'd love to be wrong, and if you can prove me wrong,
we have not been able. I will tell you this. I don't want to say I can't prove you wrong. We have not been able, like the shackles on the rail cars. I've been able to, and for those that don't know, I've been able to find the actual, and that's why we got to get the document system up on Patriot FB. That's the next launch. I have been able to see the request for a proposal on that from the government. So I do have that, and I agree. The one about the guillotine, though, I have not been able to source. You know, even though this government is a shadow government, they do a lot of evil things. There's still documents that are out there. All you have to do is look for. I've not been able to find the guillotine document. I'm not saying they don't exist. I have not been able to find them yet. And if there's anybody that can find them, please let us know, because
I would like to see them too, because I've done the research like you and have not come up with no documentation.
Yeah, the one I know, the picture that they show that's kind of an Art Deco, that's actually a model that was done by a French artist as a model or some kind. I don't know, sick to build a guillotine.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if we do, and I'm just going to say this, if they did buy guillotines, or if there is a request for a proposal for guillotines, I ain't gonna wait to meet them in the street. I'm gonna meet them in the street, because that's biblical. That is God, God in Revelations, in the book of Revelations.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, we got to find that. We got to find that. And that right there is going to change. And I know Prepper Recon, we were talking about it on a show, and he's going to be on tomorrow night. And, I'm sure going to bring that up to see if he found anything. But I've been doing extensive, digging and looking at RFPs. I have access to the RFP system for the government. Anybody can. You just have to enroll in it. And I have been looking, and I have not been able to find anything remotely. And the trick is, they're not going to say guillotine. They're not. They're gonna look under like food processing. No, seriously. I mean, look under food processing. Look under animal control.
Right.
It's gonna be somewhere in there is where they're gonna bury it. Because we're gonna need. Look under knives. Look under sharp. Google those things, because that's where you're going to find it. Because what they're not going to say, oh, we want to buy 30,000 guillotines. No, what they're going to say is that we need to buy a blade that is 13 inches long by an inch and a half by whatever, and that's what they're going to
put the stats out there.
Exactly, and that's what because that's how I found the shackling on the rail cars. They tied that shackling in with the we need to move, machinery. But then when so we need shackles for machinery. But then when you go to read it, the type and the style of the chain is not equal to the type of machinery that you would be latching down on a rail car. It doesn't have the tensile strength. The chain that they're at, exactly.
They're saying.
And so that's the key. You got to be a good researcher, and that's I'm an expert at FOIA requests and stuff. I've read enough of my own. Well, I've read enough of them that I know how to ask the questions and stuff. So that's what we're looking for. So if anybody out there is listening, help us, please, because we need to find that, because if we can find those guillotines, then game over. We know exactly where they're going, and we know it's coming quick. And as Christians, we already know we're being under attack. As Christians.
Have you seen where the Christianity right now is the #1 religion in the world being prosecuted? Yeah. I posted a thing on patriotfb.com about all the beheadings of Christians here lately. I either did that yesterday or early this morning, I think. And I've looked back at the way they treated the Jews in 1930, and they're following that exact same model with us Christians.
Well, there was actually, let me pull it up. I had it here. There's actually a poll right now that's out there. I've got to find it. I couldn't link to it, but there was a poll that they put together about the top 10 things that have been done to the Christians in the United States. I can't find it.
And the Bible says we're going to be persecuted in the end times.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to see a good movie, you can probably YouTube it. Watch the Daniel Project. They took a reporter that was not religious, and they wanted to research how much prophecy has come true about the end times. And he was just, kind of an innocent bystander type of guy. And at the end of it, he's like, I can't believe this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, to be honest with you, I got woken up, and that's how I got. Here we go. Talk about Christians. So these are the top 10. These are the top 10 anti-Christian acts of 2013. This is just 2013. I'm going to go down the list. Boy Scouts caving On immense pressure from radical homosexuals to allow homosexuals into the organization, American pastor remains in prison and quickly losing health in Iran's most violent prison ever after President Obama negotiated with Iran for the release of others, including non-Americans. So, but they're going to keep
the Christian there.
Christian left him there. Air Force Tech Sergeant Lynn Wilson faces sudden termination after he complained to the Air Force chaplain over the use of Christian chapel for homosexual weddings. Saturday Night Live did a bloody Quentin Tarantino parody on the life of Jesus Christ entitled Jesus Uncrossed, showing a fake movie trailer of Jesus engaging in extreme violence and shocking profanity. Southern Poverty Law Center pandering to Marines training on extremists and labeling pro-family organizations as Christian terrorists. This isn't just in 2013. Health and Human Service Secretary Kathleen Sebelius testified under oath that she did not know of Obamacare-funded abortions. U.S. Senate passed ENDA bill that would allow for cross-dressing teachers in public schools and punish Christian businesses and institutions for not hiring homosexuals. Actually, in Chicago, there was a judge that forced a baker to make a cake for a gay wedding. The baker refused.
I've seen that.
And stuff. So that actually happened. Supreme Court ruling that the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, the DOMA, was unconstitutional. Reza Al's New York bestseller book calling Jesus a zealot. Obamacare required Christian businesses and institutions to fund abortion. Attorney General Eric Holder comment to San Francisco group of Muslims that Facebook or Twitter messages criticizing Islam could be a violation of their civil rights. U.S. Pastor Scott Levy on trial in an American and Crimes Against Humanity after Uganda government seeks his advance on the issue of homosexuality. I got a whole list. These are all the things that, just in 2013, and that, for time, I stopped. These are all the things that attack on Christians, Christians.
Exactly. Now, I just posted something on patriotfb.com for you folks out there. It's called The Communist Takeover of America. These are 45 declared goals that this book called The Naked Communist was wrote in 1958. Now, if you look at these 45 goals, one of their main things in there is to push homosexuality, push anti-family, take over the media, take over the high positions in the government. And you read these goals and you think about how the stuff is today, you will find out that each and every one of their goals have been succeeded.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, without a doubt. I mean, it's just the attack on the Christian, and that's because I mean, we had Jake Danovesky on here, who's a great author. Actually, he has an event if you go to patriotfacebook.com. where FB.com, he's doing a Lisa Richard interview with Jake Danovesky at Rock and Roll Politics. Now, Jake he wrote this book. It's excellent. I've got a copy of it. I really, really liked it. It's the title. I want to make sure I get the title right. It's Aftertaste and Tales from Russia. And he grew up in Soviet Russia. And he grew up as a child, went through this, and he talked about it on our show. He talked about his life in Soviet Russia and how it was just, and then he compared that to what's going on here. One of the things that he said that's very poignant is that the Russian government didn't like religion because they didn't want anybody to believe that they had an out other than the government.
Right.
They don't want you to have hope. That, remember Hope and Change? Does sound familiar? They don't want you to have hope other than Obama.
Here's the thing, Jeff. If there's no God, then how can you have God-given rights? Yeah. Think about that. If they eliminate God, then you cannot have a God-given right to freedom of speech, to prosper and what have you.
Yep.
And it's it's crazy out there, the things they're doing. And people think that all this stuff is random, and it's not random.
It's a systematic attack, and they are playing by. They do have a rule book.
Yeah.
And if you want to get some insight, it's by no means the rule book. But if you want to get the insight of what this president is doing and how he's doing it, you need to read Sal Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
Yeah.
And then you also need to follow that up with the Agenda 21 books.
Yeah.
That was written, when they met in Brazil and they put together Agenda 21. And then you also need to do research on UNESCO and all of those organizations, all these UN, and that will give you. And like I said, when you awake, my fellow patriots, when you truly wake up, it's kind of like the red pill or the blue pill in the movie The Matrix. I mean, you got to make a decision, and we're here. When you make the decision to be a patriot, we're here for you. Patriot FB is here for you. We will put you in touch with, because it is going to be a mind blower for you. You are going to be, once you wake up and you start seeing the evil, and you start seeing that this is not just an incompetent president, but this is a systematic attack by powers, by our country, our freedoms, our individuals. When you see that, it is just as evil as if there were aliens, and I'm not saying they're aliens, just as evil as if we were under attack by aliens, like that, like the movie They Live, with Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Ronald Reagan said it best. This is the world's last stand for freedom.
Yes.
If we lose it here, and they can take down America, they can take down anything in the world.
Yep. Oh yeah, they're bold, and you're seeing that. Before, the liberals were the left, and I want to say the left, and it's not a
useful
left.
Idiots.
Well, they weren't organized. They weren't, but now they are. And now they understand that with power, with numbers is power. They get it. Before, they didn't have that. Now they do, and they're pushing this agenda. But the problem is that it's not a liberal and it's not a GOP thing. It is a freedom patriot against those that want to oppress you thing. And there are a lot of both parties in those that want to oppress you thing.
Well, look at it. Right now, all heads of government are in the Zionist Jew Party, which the Zionist Jews are through the Rockefeller Foundation, Rockefeller family, and Rothschild family. The Rockefellers work for the Rothschilds. And that is their goal, is to break this country. And while we got a few minutes left, I'd like to say, have a look at your children right now. Your small children that are 5 and 6 years old. And I want you to think of this. They will never live to see 25 years old. Because if it's this bad now, then it's getting predominantly worse every year. Every year it's getting worse and worse and worse. We're getting the Orwellian state here. Your children are going to be slaves. Right now is a great time for us to be alive, because we're part of this fight. We need to stand up and take an hour out of our day and do something. Write letters to your editor. Talk to your neighbors. Go to the coffee shop. Talk to people out there. Take a friend to the coffee shop. Talk loud enough where people can hear you, but not loud enough to where you're disturbing people, You'll get a lot of people thinking. We need to get people thinking again.
Yep. One of the things I was thinking about this, and Joe, I was going to ask you, I was actually going to take the Declaration of Independence. I was going to print it up. I was going to sign it, and I was going to put it in an envelope, and I was going to mail it to President Barack Obama.
Just put it in your email. They'll read it.
Yeah, well, I don't they'll read it as it goes. No, I was actually just going to send it to them. 32 cents. Can you imagine signing every Patriot American, filling out the Declaration of Independence and signing their name to it, and just saying, look, they're let's read this, Mr. President, because obviously you haven't read it.
He was a constitutional lawyer.
He was, when he was at the Harvard Law Review, when he was over that, he never wrote one article, not one. Zero, zip.
Well, he was too busy partying with the boys and doing cocaine.
Well,
which I did not believe, but after you hear 12 or 13 or 15 people, different people saying the same thing, it at least got to make you go, well, okay, maybe. You know, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't care one way or another. But, you know, allegedly he was quite the party guy in college.
Well, here you go. I am going to do this right now because I said I was going to do it. There is a picture and I'm putting it up at patriotfb.com right now. So if you guys want to go out there, but it's patriotfb.com. Here is the photo of President Barack Obama with his roommate at the time. He was a roommate. They were at a party together, and this is the president holding his hand, sitting very closely to this gentleman. And there you go. And now, if you go to patriotfb.com, there's our president with his roommate, and they are holding hands.
Yeah.
So, you know.
No, it's just.
I mean, I got my buddies, I got my friends, but
I don't have time to worry about I don't care if he's gay, black, white, straight. He's screwing us all.
Yes, exactly. But I'm just saying that these are the things that are, you know, it's just one perpetual lie after another, after another, after another, after another, after
like
another.
the uncle thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know my uncle. I didn't know anything about how you lived with him for 2 weeks. Oh, that's right. Oh, you want to keep your doctor? You can keep your doctor, right?
Yeah. I lived in Illinois at the time. I lived there for a very short while. Excuse me. But it happened to be while he was running for Senate, and his signs were spray painted down south in Illinois, and I thought, how is this guy ever going to, because I'd never heard of Obama before, and it was just like graffiti signs, and I'm like, how is this guy ever going to get to the Senate?
Yeah. Well, he got there. Well, because he got tapped in, and that's the other thing, too, is a lot of people, there was a day in which Senator Barack Obama and Senator Hillary Clinton disappeared from the campaign. And
they went to the not the Vanderbilt group, but the
no, he was with the Bilderbergers.
Yeah,
in Virginia. They were meeting in Virginia. They disappeared, and all of a sudden, when they came out of that, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton dropped out of the race and supported Barack Obama. I'm a firm believer. They said, look, let this guy tee it up, let him get it ready, and then you will carry. Hillary, you're going to carry it over the goal for us. Let him run the 100 yards. Let him be the sacrificial ram, because everybody's going to blame it because he's black, right? Or that's how these people. That's how these sick people think.
They knew it's going to cause a racism.
Yeah, so
they knew it was going to divide the country.
Let him run it the 100 yards, and then Hillary, you get to come in as the savior of the savior. The womanly, motherly savior, and you get to come.
Well, have you noticed the television programs? The male is always in the background looking like a fool or an idiot, and now they're pushing ever since this what was that movie with the never mind. They're pushing the strong woman thing. So when she does run for president, everybody will have it. We're being programmed by television to vote for a woman. People don't even realize it.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that that series 24. That was out. I'm a firm believer. The reason why Barack Obama had a chance was because of that movie. Because you saw a dominating, smart, articulate, black president
and
in
they did
show.
That to several movies.
Yeah, and that made you kind of, warm up to the idea. But the problem is this, is that, like I said, I'm not a black, white, Chinese, whatever. I don't care. We all suffer as a nation when the president fails. And I don't want to see this president fail any more than anybody else. But the problem is that he's on a different path than I am. And he's obviously trying to systematically destroy this country. And it's a shame. And I don't care what race you are. I thought the same about Bill Clinton, and I wasn't, to be honest with you, I wasn't too impressed with George W. Bush either, because, of the wars and the fact that, he was tied in with the oil and all of that. So
you got to remember, they're all part of the same group. They're all part of the Vanderbilt group. They're all part of the Foreign Relations Committee, ain't that? Or Foreign Relations Council. They're all part of the, what is that other group out there?
WTO, you got the Bilderberg, WTO, you got the FRC, you've got...
What we are being offered the illusion of choice. We'll pick this guy over here, or this guy over here, his policy is different. But they're not different. They promise us the world. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But at the end of the day, when they get into office, they do what they're told by the higher ups. They are nothing more than puppets.
And actually, I've got an excellent book that I just finished by Jeff Hayes. He was a guest on the show, and I've got a copy of the PDF, and he's given us permission to give it out. I will post that PDF. I've been waiting for our PDF document system, like our video, to show up.
Right.
But I'll go ahead and post that. You got to read that, because he's got it's just an incredible book. It will open your eyes. Just incredible research. His name is Jeff Hayes, and it's New World Order, and I'll get that posted as well. So, Joe?
Yes, sir.
It's been 3 hours, my friend.
Oh, it has, too, and then it's just rolled right on by.
I told you it would do that. Yeah, I would do that. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience, or before?
Just please take some time out, a half an hour, 10 minutes, an hour. We are in the fight for our children's lives here. Our life is going to be whatever it is going to be. But if you want your children to grow up into a free society, a free country like our parents did, and like we used to be, you have to take this time to fight. I cannot stress this enough. Write your newspaper editors. Do whatever it is that you feel comfortable with. If it's nothing more than like I do, I sit behind this computer and I do mass hours of research, and I use social networks to get the word out. Just try, and don't try to push it off on people, but present it in such a way to where it makes them think.
Yep.
Hey, maybe this guy's got a point, or what have you. If it's left up to us right now, us people between 20 and 60 years old today, if we do not do something, we can kiss our kids' future goodbye.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. Joe, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day and everything, your evening and stuff. And great show. It was outstanding. I learned a lot, and I'll be talking to you after we get off the air here, my friend.
All right, Jeff, you have a great time, and everybody join PatriotFB.com.
That's it. So there you go. That's what it's all about. It's all about communication. We got about 30 seconds here before we got to wrap up and stuff. So I just want to tell everybody, thank you for joining us. It's been outstanding. I just want to say, Jesus, thank you for for giving me Joe and everybody to get me lifted up. I was kind of in the doldrums going into the show, and it's just been an outstanding show. I just want to tell you, go out to PatriotFB.com, MidnightPatriot.com. Join us on the web. We're all in this together. May God bless you. May God keep you. You'll always be in my heart and my prayers. And until we talk again tomorrow, good night.